I'm actually going to take some time to talk about the digital pollution theory. This is an idea that I've been, I guess, being planted seeds for about half a decade, but in May 2025, I was able to get my thoughts together in a cohesive way. So basically, the reason why I'm making this is because I made a TikTok series telling people everything I'm about to tell you right now. I just wanted to make it fit for YouTube. So I have my notes here. They're not really notes. It's more so quite literally a script. And I'm just going to be reading from that while adding my own anecdotes. And I have my notes here. But like I said, I'm on tape. I'm doing this real old school. So I have to get into this because I don't want to run a tape and stop the video for you guys. So here we go. So I've been subconsciously gathering information about this for years, and I finally feel like I'm in a good place to describe what I have called the digital pollution theory. I'm going to put the actual things. I'm not going to read them word for word, but I have them right here. Y'all take a look, pause. Okay, so the digital pollution theory is a theory that treats social media like a place, an environment that we inhabit solely when we are logged on, even if it's not physical. Let me make my thing right. Okay. Some people don't believe that social media is a place because of how interwoven it is in our daily life. But I believe that social media is still a place, yet it is one totally separate from the reality that we live. It is a reflection of society, but social media does not sit in the same reality we experience in the real world. Okay. That's the big point. The lived real world. So I first realized this as a DJ. I've been a DJ for 10 years, and the main thing that I've seen across all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Vine. I wasn't DJing in Vine, but kind of same idea. A lot of people would criticize DJs, be like, oh, y'all playing the same music over and over again, are playing the same overplayed songs. But when you actually get behind a DJ turntable set and you're playing for people, it's those overplayed songs that people on the internet said they're so sick of hearing that evoke the most energetic emotions out of people every night. For example, they say, we're tired of hearing Can We Talk, but Can We Talk is a really great record that gets a really great reaction every time. And there are many examples about songs like that. That's not what I'm here to talk about, but that's when I first saw that there's just something different about the experience that we live in versus the experience that we may observe on the internet. So now more than ever, I'm starting to believe that the once liberating space of social media that once fostered community is now deteriorating. Social media just feels so much more unsafe than it did 10 to 20 years ago. I feel like this space is no longer a normal place to live for an extended period of time. Me personally, especially with what I've been dealing with this year, social media is truly unbearable. It really is. So if we're going back to the idea that the internet is a place, I think the digital environment that we live in today is horribly polluted, okay? We're viewing it as an environment, a land. It is possible for that land, that environment to be polluted. So here are just some examples of said pollutants in this digital environment. And I'm going to put that on my screen here. Number one, echo chambers, vitriolic mindsets on both ends of the political spectrum. They are pollutants because they erode our empathy and eliminate the possibility of true dialogue, especially if you are deeply entrenched on either side. And this is not just political. It can just exist on any axis. Some people disagree that it's not possible to have echo chambers on each side, but that's just my opinion. Okay. Another pollutant, the big one, anxiety, by fostering constant comparison and fear of missing out. This creates a persistent fear that you're missing out or not doing enough, leading to stress and dissatisfaction with your own life and maybe even identity distortion. Another pollutant, cycles of overconsumption. Platforms manipulate users' identity to drive endless purchasing disguised as self-expression and wealth signaling. So example, you may not need the Sony G7X to take a good photo, and you don't need to look rich by flashing whatever item is popular on TikTok at the moment. Next pollutant, cultural extraction and hyper visibility. This one's a little bit complicated, but in brief, it is niche, local, or marginalized cultural spaces are mined for content and engagement, often stripping them of context, nuance, or accessibility. There is a really great video on YouTube about the matcha phenomenon and how that is essentially cultural extraction. And I think she does a much better job of describing what exactly I mean when talking about these things. Going off script here. The beauty and the fugliness of TikTok to me is its power to show a lot of people things, while also its power to overexpose. So you can examine this with the matcha trend, which is why I should really watch the video. She dives deep into it. It has extreme cultural significance in Asian cultures, and yet it's been commodified, and now they're selling matcha gel in a toothpaste can. Or also, if you ask somebody off the street what's Gen Z slang, and it's ballroom slang from Black queer communities, you know. So for those both examples, they both have extreme cultural significance, cultural context, cultural history within communities, and then that's often erased after it's been overexposed. And it's often overexposed to feed an algorithm or to feed engagement. And I think TikTok is really good for that. But yeah, I just wanted to take some time to explain that a little bit better. Y'all should watch that video that I mentioned. It's really good. But overall, culture of marginalized communities get mined for content and engagement, but then lose their nuance and their meaning. Heated debates about these cultures often overshadow the real lived experiences of these communities. Meanwhile, content creators capitalize on these moments to boost their own visibility, turning cultural conversations into personal promotion, manipulating these conversations to sell products, to sell themselves, or to sell their skills. This cycle, for some, extracts value from communities without giving back. Cultural extraction. Okay, that was a big one. Let's move on. Next pollutant, addiction. The design of these apps keep you scrolling, fosters compulsive use, reducing time for genuine connection and rest, while also increasing stress. And finally, you guys, the big kahuna, rage bait. High engagement, no matter the context, indicates quality and relevance to an algorithm. So when users interact with something, it signals to the algorithm that the content is valuable and is then shown to a wider audience. So there's more direct, aggressive rage bait that I'm sure we've seen. 20 liberals against outsmart one conservative, or 10 Christians versus 10 atheists. Y'all have seen it. And I think there's a new kind of rage bait that's getting popular on TikTok. Say there's someone making a video walking through a neighborhood in New York, or casually sharing a controversial opinion about whatever, but the context behind those same posts hit deep topics like cultural erasure, sexism, racism, homophobia, etc. Essentially, what comes out of that is a trap where people are compelled to respond, explain, defend themselves, or argue with other people, thus creating endless loops of unproductive conversations that look on the surface like dialogue and conversation, but are really just cycles of stress and outrage. So both of these things trigger engagement cycles. And what's the end result of this cycle, y'all? More attention given to the social media and more money given to the social media company. So those are the pollutants I have: echo chambers, anxiety, overconsumption, cultural extraction, addiction, and rage bait. Okay. These are just some of the pollutants in our digital airspace. So overall, the overarching metaphor, I think, is that the right word? Comparison, let's just do that. With this theory is the idea of land. So I decided to compare social media to the physical land environment because it reminds me of how industrial capitalism in the US exploited land and marginalized communities. So in the early 1900s, polluting industries were built near Black neighborhoods to access cheap land, cheap labor, and because racist zoning laws left Black communities with no choice but to live near hazardous sites. This resulted in the exploitation of their labor and their land, and caused direct harm to their health as a result. So, for example, a lot of Black and brown youth in Los Angeles have suffered from reduced lung function due to prolonged exposure to industrial pollution in their neighborhoods. So remember that. Pollutants exploiting labor and land, causing direct harm to whoever it reaches. So this connection leads us back to what I believe is digital capitalism. Now, I think further I go in my theory, this might be more so techno-feudalism, but I'm going to be honest, I have not read that book yet. I'm so excited to read my book, but I didn't want to read that book before I made this video because I wanted to put this video on 2025. So there's probably some pieces that are techno-feudalism, but I just call it digital capitalism. So digital capitalism, where similar patterns of exploitation are present, just not in the physical world. So going back to the pollutants, each pollutant exploits something about our daily lives and our nature. So in this world of digital capitalism, echo chambers exploit our capacity for empathy, our relationships. Anxiety exploits our mental health, our sense of self. Overconsumption exploits our identity, our insecurities. And basically all the money that we earn. Extraction exploits certain cultures, communities, and their creativity. Addiction exploits our time and attention. Rage bait exploits our emotional labor. And all of these things that are being exploited by us are for profit. Okay, this is how social media companies make money, and this is also how creators gain financial rewards in digital social capital. So the more content taps into either something enraging or outrage or aspiration, the more it spreads. Platforms reward this cycle, and creators are incentivized with either money, fame, or just opportunity to continue to feed those cycles. So in the world that we know, the physical world, industrial capitalism poison land and harm communities in pursuit of profit. Today, on the internet, digital capitalism poisons our relationships to each other, our attention spans, our mental health, our sense of self, our labor, our sense of empathy, and harms our communities and leaves us behind with burnout, misinformation, cultural erosion, loss of empathy, loneliness, anxiety, depression. I could go on forever. And this exploitation is for profit. And this is not just happening in the physical anymore, and it's killing us digitally. So that's mostly, that's points 1 and 2, okay? And I hate when people talk about the doom and the gloom and the darkness of the world without providing something that we can do to feel like we're in control of this nonsense. So we're going to go into point 3, which is the only real solution is abandonment, I guess, unless collective investment exists, which won't. I guess that's kind of doom and gloom. I don't care because I actually have solutions for you guys. How about that? So, where is it? I believe that the internet can be an enjoyable experience. Maybe that was this is my May script. In my December script, I'm not sure. We just can no longer allow the extraction to take place for the monetary benefit of social media companies and for the social benefit of content creators who are seeking fame off of our engagement, whether we're outraged by it or whether we aspire to be it, and money themselves. So I'm personally working on this a lot in 2025. I have a long way to go, but I have come so far in the past year. I mentioned earlier that I just don't think that the environment in our digital space is safe enough for quick fixes. Like, I don't believe in taking your screen time from TikTok to Substack. I don't believe in curating your feed or being on less stressful social media sites like a Substack or, for some people, a Reddit. I think that pollutants are so pervasive, the only tangible solution is to completely abandon them. And there are 2 exceptions, mutual investment and accessibility, but I'll dive into those a little later. So we're going to go pollutant by pollutant, and I'll provide my potential solutions. So echo chambers, as you know, they exploit our relationships and our capacity for empathy. So we all know, and I'll add in anxiety too. We all know the solution to this one. Reduce your screen time. You don't need a phone locker, an app, a shortcut, line graphs. You only reduce your screen time by participating in your lived experience. Find something every day out in the world that you can do to bring your version of happiness into your life. For me personally, I like to treat every day like a Saturday. I have phone-free times throughout the day. I do not look at my phone in the morning. And just whatever it is to pull you into your lived experience, not your digital. It recovers your empathy. It recovers your sense of self. It recovers your relationships that might have been harmed as we spend way too much time in the polluted digital environment. And you also have to be okay with being bored. In order to fight that, you have to, number 1, be bored, and number 2, do things. Yeah. So echo chambers and anxiety. I think that's a good solution for that. Next, overconsumption. This is my favorite because TikTok is like, it's QVC now. So they're going to keep taking from you if you keep giving to them. So do not be so easy to give up your personal capital out of insecurity and wealth signaling. So everywhere, every product is marketed as a solution to a feeling. I guess now, insecurity, aspiration, class anxiety. But once that solution becomes basic, the algorithm moves to the next item, leaving you eager to buy the thing that will provide the solution that you're looking for. Once you buy the item you think promises you the perception of wealth, the perception of desirability, or the perception of stability, that another item is going to be popularized. Once you buy the thing that you think is going to give you what you are seeking from that, Like me personally, oh, I want to buy those jeans because I want to feel stylish. I want to buy this perfume so I can feel rich or desirable, you know? There's going to be a new trendy thing. So here's some quick rapid fire examples. Lululemon Aloe Matcha Kits, Labubu Sunny Angels, Panda Dunk Sambas, walking pads, bar carts, Stanley Cups, Owala bottles, Bagoo. I could go on forever. I'm not going to read my whole list, but I'm not trying to be mean or contrarian, you guys, with this. I am a victim. I have a Bagoo. I have Owala. Okay. I love a good fragrance that I think is going to make me smell like a member of the Roy family. I'm just gonna be honest. If y'all watch Succession, I'm just being honest with that. And as much as I love personal finance, I don't believe it's an issue of like if you can afford it or not. And I know we have like a consumer issue as it pertains to consumer debt. It's more so a matter of why you are buying the thing. Are you buying it to feel a certain way about yourself? So I think the best way to fight this pollutant is to have deep introspection, and to have functionality inform almost all of your purchases. Almost everything you buy, you have to be informed about its functionality, and you have to look within as to why you may want that thing. This was a resolution of mine. I think I'm doing a lot better than I did in the past. But more tangible solutions, doing no buys for the month. The one that I do is I'll buy one and then two have to go. So if I need if I want a new pair of shoes, 2 pairs of shoes has to go. 7-day waiting period before buying something. Getting creative with the things you already have. Learn to be functional with the things you already have. Go to the library instead of buying books. Buy secondhand or don't buy at all. And then this is just a personal thing. Buy the thing that you want. If I see a $60 pair of jeans and I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy the cheaper pair of jeans for $20. That's just trendy. Then I'm spending those same $20 when I really in the back of my head want the $60 pair of jeans, but didn't want to pay for it up front the first time. I don't know if that makes sense, but like buy the thing you want. Those are my solutions for overconsumption. Now, cultural extraction is interesting because when talking to a family member about it, they're like, well, involve cultural appreciation. I think that is a great solution. Appreciate, not appropriate cultures. And I'm mentioning the matcha video again. There's a way to appreciate what she was saying in the video and then not to appropriate it. So, but what I said originally was to participate and contribute to your IRL community. So, on the real life community side, many community events are paywalled, often for valid reason. They take place in venues that need to survive, run by people who need to get paid. And let's be honest, especially talking about some communities, some businesses don't want certain communities in their spaces to begin with. On the other hand, some community events do not need to be paywalled. Free options do exist, and if they don't, you have the power to build them instead of building unproductive conversations that look like dialogue, but are actually cycles of stress and outrage. I know that's like controversial, but I'm sick of people asking, oh, why don't I have this? Why don't I have this? If you have the idea, God blessed you with the idea, execute it, you know? And I feel like there's people in place that will help you to get there. Maybe that's privileged of me to say, but that's just from my experience. So that said, though, it gets tricky when we talk about proximity and accessibility, which I'll discuss for the tin hat part of my theory. But overall, the model is participate, don't observe. And if you're producing these spaces, keep the wall low, don't get greedy. It's easy to hike prices up because you know that you can get some money off of it, but just keep it cute. Invest your time in smaller communities where mutual investment and care is the default. That could be a group chat with your friends with their comic books, your local dive bar, your local coffee shop, a film discussion group that meets at the library, book club. You know, if you want to produce something, also create what you don't see already or work with someone to create what you both don't see in real life. So, and I mentioned this, of course, this gets a little tricky when we're talking about accessibility. And it gets tricky when other people aren't necessarily invested in building real life community that you pay attention to. There have been so many times where I've been to parties or even hanging out with my family where everyone's together, but everyone's on their phones. And not to be that girl, not to be that old man, but you guys, like, can you play a game? Like, having screen-free quality time with the people that you love or the people that you appreciate is something that I just cherish so deeply. And it's kind of gets really sad to see the former. In this part of the theory, I say the only real solution is abandonment unless full collective investment exists digitally, which will not. So here's what I mean by that. You can argue that digital communities are powerful because they promote new conversations and promote visibility, but they can only be productive for the digital environment when both parties resist the cycle of outrage that platforms are quite literally designed to provoke. It takes effort to not immediately react, to post, not to perform, and digitally it takes effort to treat each other with grace and curiosity because we aren't physically seeing someone. When everyone is trying to go viral or win a debate or look smart or look careless, actual connection becomes impossible. And this is what I mentioned, like my partner, they have never had an Instagram. Okay, so when they have to catch up with someone, they have to physically call them or physically, text them or physically hang out with them. And I feel like that the whole Instagram culture of like, oh my gosh, let me check up on them. And it's just kind of seeing them through a glass wall. That's freaking weird, And I just prefer to just try and text people, be like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Instead of looking on their Instagram and like, oh, they went to Italy. It's like, let me take some time and say, hey girl, how you doing? I think that's really disappointing to see out and about, but like I said, I do it too. We're all working on this together, you guys. I really do think that the only tangible solution is to abandon these spaces because they're the glass wall. Social media is a glass wall. There's a possibility for us to have community. We just cannot build it offline. We cannot build it online, in my opinion. I know community is like the buzzword of 2025, but let's actually start doing that shit in real life. And not just saying it to sell products and things and experiences that are overpriced. Okay, that's my solution for that one. Okay, my solution for rage bait is probably my favorite. Do not engage. I do not argue with people on the internet. If a TikTok pisses you off, don't comment. Do not stitch. Do not contribute to the cycle of discourse. That's the big one. You can at least try to control what you see and take back control of your emotions. Yeah, a lot of people, what they say on the internet is just to prove that they know more than you or to be hateful or to just poke holes. Like, it's just pointless. You're not really trying to have a conversation with me. You're trying to battle me. You're trying to debate me, and no one wins from a debate. Okay, if any of you guys watching are interested in mutual investment, I'm going to put my email. I'm going to go old school, put my email in the caption, and we can have a conversation about it off 100% public platform. Because that kind of cycle of whatever is performance too. That is performance too. At the end of the day, I don't believe we can truly heal our digital world. So as long as a space exists, it will be exploited. It will be exploited by platforms that make money off of our time, off of our attention, off of our emotions, and by incentivize users as they chase fame, money, an easy full-time job, or social capital. So if both creators and users aren't collectively committed to care and clarity, then any attempt to improve the space will collapse. And the truth is, some people thrive engaging with these pollutants. Rage bait, cultural extraction, and performance are appealing for some people. They're the goal for some people, to make communities outraged for money, to steal the creativity of a community, to milk you of all your money. As long as these incentives remain, the digital environment will never heal. And that's why, in the end, the only real solution is abandonment. These solutions are tricky, though, for reasons I will explain in the official tin hat part of my theory. This is the final part of my theory. Buckle up. Point number 4. The future of a contaminated digital environment is one where privilege determines who gets to log off. This will sound crazy, but I'm standing tall on my theory. I wanted to document it in 2025 so that when this happens, if it does in 10, 15 years, y'all be like, oh my gosh, they predicted it. Okay? Let me drink my water for this because it's going to be a doozy. For real. Like, seriously. In this theory, we are saying that a digital space can be polluted. Is it possible for a digital space to be zoned, redlined, colonized, gentrified? Going back to what I said before about industrial capitalism, polluting industries often situated themselves near Black neighborhoods, both to access a cheap labor force and because racist zoning laws left Black communities with little choice but to live near hazardous sites. These polluting industries were prohibited as zoning violations in neighborhoods where whites lived, and that was solely to keep their properties from deterioration. I cite the color of law in this. I kept mentioning that my solutions from the last part are tricky to navigate for some people. It's tricky because these solutions are only available to those who have the time, the proximity, the privilege, and the money. So today, those who spend the most time in the polluted digital environment are often stuck there out of necessity. Exploited labor and unlivable wages leave little time for real-life communities, pushing people towards addictive platforms. There, we're being fed sensational content by creators incentivized by profit or fame to fuel stress and outrage, whether intentionally or unintentionally. When I see some rage bait on the 25th or the 26th of the month, I know you're trying to get a TikTok check. Blocked. Do not engage, okay? These creators are rewarded to keep posting, to keep being present, and to keep contributing to the endless landfill of content. This is because attention is the currency. We've been saying that for a very long time. Your attention is currency. Your attention is currency. These platforms need to be making money off of our human nature at all times. They need to be making money off of the things that the pollutants exploit. Our relationships, our empathy, our attention, our insecurities, our emotional labor, personal capital, creativity, cultures, etc. So in this case, the online community is very similar to the Black and brown neighborhoods where pollution industries were built. In those environments, they were exposed to exploitative pollutants that cause direct harm to whoever it reaches. So with that in mind, I'm starting to believe that there will be privilege in being able to be offline. The people who can afford to visit these dive bars, these libraries, these third spaces, the people who make enough money to have the time to engage with their communities or afford to live in dense, walkable communities will inevitably live healthier lives than those who have to be online. There will be a class of people who have to be online out of necessity due to geographical isolation, economic uncertainty, or lack of access. I believe that the online class could potentially become a lower class of people, maybe building out the idea of a digital caste system. And I just finished Careless People. Just finished Manifesting. I actually have 20 pages left. And it was talking about a lot of the Facebook executives didn't even allow their children to post on Facebook, or didn't even post that much on Facebook by themselves. So it's like, the nonsense you're spreading. Look at the Campbell Soup guy. They know the unhealthiness that they're peddling to people, but they just think you'll be stupid enough to buy into it because you don't have the privilege to be off. In this way, the internet becomes digitally redlined, not through physical segregation, but by who can afford to leave and who has to stay. And much like the history of discrimination, labor exploitation, the system disproportionately harms marginalized communities. So I think we are at risk of creating a digital caste system where a privileged few can log off and build healthier, happier lives, while the rest of us are left to mine content in a polluted digital world. In this digital lower caste, both the content creator and the users are still workers. Content creators pump out the content, the user consumes, the user responds. So on the creation side, depending on what they produce, they may fuel the digital pollutants and what they exploit in search of their own money, attention, fame. Some people get paid. Y'all know how the influencer market is. A lot of people get paid a lot of money to be an influencer. There are some people who don't get a lot of money, usually people from marginalized communities. And then there's some influencers that don't get paid at all. And some just get paid in cultural cachet. But as for the users, it is their attention they dedicate to these addictive platforms that allow both the platform and the creator to gain wealth. So like I said, the influencer marketing bubble, these influencers can make so much money, so much that they fuel an industry. What do you think the social media companies are making off of their ads, So now, before we dive into the digital lower caste, I wanted to talk about what caste is. So I wanted to cite the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. I will be coming clean. I did not read the book. I just read Origin, but I know the pillars, so I might be a little off on this one. I just want to be honest with you guys. She explains how caste systems like in the US, India, and Germany are built on fixed rankings of human value, placing one group above another. She outlines 8 pillars that uphold these systems. The one I want to focus on is occupational hierarchy, or what I call job desirability. In the US, enslaved Africans and later Black Americans were forced into the most grueling, low status labor because they were seen as property, not people. They were seen as solely a means of extracting resources to generate wealth. This creates the thought that what you do in society proves your inferiority or superiority. In this theory, if the digital environment is polluted and unsafe, and only the privileged have a means to opt out, then those who must stay and work within it, whether as users or creators, end up holding undesirable roles. They will end up having dirty jobs. This automatically places them into a lower caste within the digital hierarchy. We've seen this happen to other industries. Capitalism has a way of manufacturing dream jobs, then oversaturating those industries until they collapse. Look at what a tech job looked like 20 years ago versus today. That's all I'll say about that. Or think about what gig work looked like 10 years ago in 2015 versus today. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. And you can even talk about the music industry and freelance work or whatever. But specifically, Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash, all of those things. No benefits, but you could set your own schedule, but they're going to do absolutely everything they can to make you work like a full-time employee without giving you the benefits of being one. I think that content creation right now is positioned as a lucrative path. And I'm going to go on a quick tangent about this. They offer fame, money, attention, or success. Just post that content, someone probably told you, luring you in with nice packages, nice vacations, expensive clothes. And that's an advertisement to get you to participate in an industry built to oversaturate itself. Creators need to earn their money by contributing to the digital landfill through telling the user that if they contribute to the digital landfill, they too will be rich like them or famous like them. That's how I feel. I'm just so against short form DJ content because y'all are just not getting my gems. Especially if y'all don't go out. I believe that creators and users alike will become mostly desperate workers clinging to visibility or survival. Larger creators won't want to get a 9-to-5. They don't want to stop being famous, so they bring you down a level by provoking you with a pollutant. They do this because they too have become desperate workers, and you, the user, indulge and react, giving both the platform and the creator wealth. In the future, in this theory, the role of the user and the creator will inevitably become dirty work. No benefits, no time off, no stability, just an endless push to keep filling the digital landfill with content and discourse. In the future, I believe that a digital caste normalizes how some people's lives are more online than lived, not because they choose it or even become addicted to it, but because they cannot afford to log off. Their labor, their attention, and emotional energy becomes fuel for a system designed to keep them scrolling, to keep them posting, and to keep them reacting at all times. That will inevitably affect everyone, but more harshly, people of marginalized communities. As long as we exist in the framework of profit over people, I don't believe that we can heal polluted environments. I do not believe coexistence in this digital world is truly possible, but I do believe that we can take back control by abandoning them while we can. America and everywhere in the world, do not engage. Reduce your screen time, take the time to ground yourself in real life, participate or build real life communities, resist buying too much crap. All of these things could be very productive. My other hope is to help others find their way out before it becomes a question of privilege. I really wanted to drive this point home before I go back into this conclusion. These tech people are so evil and they are very aware. Cal Newport has an amazing video. Hopefully I remember it. And he is saying that we often think that the addiction, the anxiety, just the emotional manipulation that we experience on social media is a byproduct or a side effect of the intended functionality of these social media. That is the functionality of the social media platform. So with that in mind, and especially after reading Careless People, their manipulation is deliberate to line their pockets, to make money. That's completely unacceptable. And the thing that makes me feel a little bit optimistic about it, I'm not really too tech optimistic in the sense of we are going to find a solution in tech. I do not believe that. But I think what makes it optimistic is they can only find you digitally, you know? So why not reject digital aspects of our life where they can find us, where they can exploit us, you know? So that's the intention of this video, is to let you guys know what the world is here, and that y'all can wake up and not let them exploit who you are as a human, literally just to make money. That's crazy. And while we're on the topic, I actually have two more notes. Number one, beware of the grift. It's a trend right now to talk about analog living, to talk about what it's like to abandon social media. And all of that content is literally just the same principle I talked about before of adding content to a digital landfill. You know, the only solution has to be rooted within action. It's not going to exist right here. You know, I'm just here to spread this information to you all. But the real truth, the real solution, the real freedom is when you take that information and pull it out into your lived reality, the plane that I'm physically in right now. Okay. Number one, beware of the grift. Another thing in my personal testimony, this has been a 5-year long process for me, and maybe this is worthy of more videos, but it's sparked by kind of a meltdown triggered by Instagram 5 years ago in 2020. Who wasn't having a meltdown in 2020? And my appreciation for tech criticism and social media criticism has grown from that, and thus leading me here. I'm only on Instagram for business purposes because I DJ, and that's been so helpful. I'm only on TikTok because I personally love TikTok. I've been on there for like 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, and that's helped. I'm not wasting time on these places. Eventually, I want to get to a place of full abandonment, but I'm not there yet. It's a long process. So I say that same thing for you all who are watching. It is a process. It's not something that you can just make your winter arc to become a better person in 2026 or beyond. It's not going to take 2 months. You know, it is a very deliberate practice, and with the knowledge of knowing how much they exploit you, I feel like that should give you the patience to be like, hey, you know, it's going to be a process, but knowing that in my mind, I will be a more free person, a more secure person. I'm a more person who's in alignment with their goals. All in all, what I'm saying is I'm not trying to be on a high horse here. Like, we got this, y'all. We all have been exploited by these systems, and we also all have the power to leave them behind to live better lives. So we are literally in this together. I'm not trying to preach. I just want that to be known. This is why I posted this on YouTube as well. My other hope is to help others find their way out before it becomes a question of privilege. Because according to my theory, if only the wealthy can afford to be offline, then the rest of us will be trapped in a caste system that we did not consent to, yet we're addicted to, and potentially won't be able to move ourselves out of. We can still build places rooted in clarity and care and connection. I just think that exists in real life. We can still build places that are transformative and more transformative than performative. If we don't imagine something better and abandon this space, a future will be built for us digitally, completely without our consent, against our interests, and against our human nature. That is a digital pollution theory, you guys. I fall for many of these harmful things myself. Y'all, it's all love. Like, I have suffered so much from overconsumption and rage bait and addiction. You know, social media has been in my life since I was 11 years old. Let's stop this cycle together. If you made it this far, thank you guys for listening. I hope that you join me in stopping the cycle together. Reduce your screen time. Don't engage in your real life community. Hug the people next to you, if they will allow you to, because they're probably scrolling on TikTok. Log off.